So harpies might be getting support? Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. These quarter century sets have a lot of people going, they're going to use these as reprint sets, not only for the past stuff like we saw with Lightsworn, with Ancient Gears, which, were announced simultaneously with them, but they're also using it to reprint things like, we've already got Blue Eyes, TG stuff. There's been a few abnormalities along the way, but we just saw Harpy stuff kind of pop in to the room here, and people were like, wait a minute, Harpy support's coming? Well, here's the thing. We've already saw... I just did a whole big discussion about the tactical tri-decks out here and how what we're expecting with the tactical tri-decks is effectively a tie-in with, new future support for this. Because Konami Japan tends to do a lot of these things where they'll be like, all right, so usually, actually it's almost always, when you start to see reprints and things along the way here, it's usually an indicator of, oh, something new is coming down the pipeline for this. Now, for those of us over here in TCG land, I wish we could follow the same sort of strategy here with this, and be able to keep an eye on these announcements and go, Harpy support, that'd be really cool. But here's the thing I wanted to sit down with today for this discussion. Take note of Rush Duel, for example. Rush Duel had Cyber Dragon support, and then they had Harpy support. And a lot of people, contrary to what you might think, actually were super happy for that Cyber Dragon support. A lot of people kind of lost their minds, actually, at the thought that, we can get this support, we can enjoy this sort of stuff, we can have fun with this, and it was good. So I have a feeling that they took notes out of Rush Duel here for the Harpy stuff and, the Cyber Dragon stuff that we're expecting to come down the line here, and they went, okay, well, it's very clear that duelists enjoy these sort of cards. Now, let's also not forget about what you expect out of Master Duel at this point. I would love to see some of the data that goes on with Master Duel and a lot of these ideas that players seem to think. Because, obviously, the tactical tri-decks were designed to want to get players into the game for Master Duel. So that's something to think about out here. So, I guess my question is, with the Harpy stuff, where do we go from here? Because, you might not know this, but Harpies has two of the most disgusting cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! History under their belt. The first one being Harpy's Feather Duster, which that was a card that was... Harpy's Feather Duster, was limited to one, is limited to one. It's one of the best one-ofs ever in the game in terms of genericness. And the second one is Harpy's Featherstorm. Basically, as long as you got a wind monster on your field, you're able to blank an entire opponent's turn. Oh, and it also ties in to the Harpy's Feather Duster as well. Shifty eyes. That's something to kind of think about out here is Harpies, their recognition and things that they've got going on for them, they've already produced two of the most insane sort of cards that they could. Harpy's Pet Dragon might not be, the most crazy card, but there was a time where people looked at it and they were like, level 7, dragon. And also, Harpies did have a pure version of the deck, basically being able to deploy the field spell popping off back row. It was a little bit slower of a control deck, and inherently, the deck has always just been, how many different Harpy ladies with different-esque monster clauses can we bring into this? Their identity is just two very broken cards, and then a bunch of different Harpies that want to join the giant group of other Harpies. I know it's kind of weird. In Rush Duel, they obviously had the super omega Harpy lady Rush monster that existed, but Harpies don't really have an extra deck mechanic about them, and I'm not going to say that they're going to pull the Amazonas treatment. Please don't pull the Amazonas treatment. Please don't give them pendulum scales. Alright, unless you're going to give them pendulum scales and you make them as good as what you did with Melodious, then I'm okay with that. But the thing is, it's like, you know, pendulum skills that could pendulum summon out, you know, 3 harpies and then be able to capitalize on some sort of additional effect, I think would be an interesting take. I mean, they can also toss some fusion into it. Well, oh man, once again, we go back to that Amazonas. Oh man. You know, they could very easily dump in some sort of fusion clause into it and be like, hey, you know, you could fuse a Harpy lady with a Harpy's pet dragon, for example. You know, we've never really saw the idea of that. Or, you know, Giga. Oh, wait, they do have Cyber / Harpy lady. Robbie just lied to us. They have a synchro. All right. I know they have a synchro. All right. The idea behind the synchro was really cool. And I mean, like, it was a cool gimmick, but like, it doesn't feel very Harpy. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's a contact fusion on a white border card. That was the idea that it feels like they're doing. And that's why I would like to see some other ideas. Like, cause, you know, there's no Harpy tuner, all right? They're just like, hey, you can use any Harpy as the base material for this. That was their logic. And I suppose, but that leads me back to the fusion element of this, of being able to fuse these Harpies together and actually be able to truly do something with them. So Cyber / Harpy lady personally doesn't really count. It's a glorified contact fusion on a synchro. I don't know. It was an interesting card design. I feel like they were like, hey, let's synchros. You want to push them? Let's make a Harpy. You know, generic decks can play that, and a lot of people are like, huh. You know, that's the idea. And I mean, once again, it was something out here with that. So realistically, I mean, the door is open. They can go any sort of direction that they want with the Harpy stuff. But I mean, producing another Featherstorm / Featherduster card, I don't foresee them actually pushing to do, because these cards are already inherently broken as it is. Like, creating too generic of cards kind of leads into the issue of, but you have to give Harpies more of an identity, or you have to produce cards to allow them to make use of these cards. Now, if they make something that searches a Harpy spell and trap card from the deck, it's all over. All right, like, even the most competent Harpy player can go, okay, make whatever that might be, search for Harpy's Featherstorm, set it, your turn, duelist. You know, that's, you're getting into the realm of things that you don't really want to be touching right now. On the other flip side of the equation, with a lot of this stuff that we've been seeing with these sets, I would keep an eye on TCG Harpy stuff. You just saw Cyber / Harpy lady receive its reprint. Should have been a rare, but you know, it's okay. TCG wanted to keep it as a holo. That way we could truly enjoy it. Yeah, that's a rough thing to say. It really is. I think for the most part, what you're going to be looking for, obviously some of the legendary, not legendary duel stuff, but you know, the Duels Pack original stuff, might be the things that you might want to keep an eye on. Original prints are wild. Anything that has a different colored name, personally, is one of my favorite things. I'm not gonna lie, really big fan of these silver letters that they did. So you know, these sorts of things definitely catch my interest. And, you know, the gold ones are just regular ultra rares. So, you know, it's a little bit more unique in the sense of, you know, that. So overall, these sets, I do usually believe, open up the doors to future support. Now, once you see this stuff, the problem becomes, is the support then going to be good or bad? And, well, that's a question that we will only be able to tell when the time actually comes. So this is... People ask me, you know, how do we get ahead in the game? Trends and following the crazy patterns that this game has to offer, because it is wild some of these days. So, what do you think they can do for Harpies? What are you expecting to see out here for Harpies? I'm very intrigued to see how we're going to kind of push this along the way, and at least try to find something a little bit more interesting, in my personal opinion, as to what, you know, we'll be able to kind of do. So, leave that comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I do wonder, though, if they really do push for some sort of searchability, is that the end to Harpy's Featherstorm? Do we put it to 1? Because that's very dangerous territory, in my personal opinion. You guys have a good rest of your day, alright? Peace out.
Patrons!
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.